Coming to you from Quarantine, New York, Under the Radar and Nostalgia Time with Kid Champagne proudly presents Titus 20th Anniversary Special Interview with Stacy Keach with Randy Unger and Matthew Haberman.
Thank you so much for taking the time today, Mr. Keach.
My pleasure.
Real honor. So, 20th anniversary of the great sitcom Titus. We're just curious, so when was the first time you met Christopher Titus, and what did you think of him?
Well, I loved him the time I met him, but he was terrified of me. When I came in, I was very. We had to audition for the network and make sure everything was copacetic, and I loved this character. So I came in and I gave a ferocious audition, and I think he's often said that I scared the hell out of him, and that's why I got the part.
That's really funny.
So can you describe how, your character, Ken Titus, in your own words?
In my own words, well, he was a tough love kind of guy, big-hearted, absolutely against any kind of conventional norms. He had his own way of doing everything. And, of course, he had many different wives. Now, I had the great privilege and pleasure of meeting Ken during the shooting of Titus. I loved him. And I asked him, I said, how can you stand the fact that your son is saying all these terrible things about you week after week after week? He said, as long as it's funny. And that was his attitude. He loved Christopher, and he didn't mind being the butt of his jokes. In fact, he loved it. I think he actually, enjoyed it. He was very, very active in Christopher's career too, in terms of his support. And when he passed away, it was during the show. We all went up north to his funeral. Yeah, it was a sad day. But I was so honored to meet him. He was a big guy, much bigger than me. He was over 6 feet tall, and had a wonderful personality, very warm. I mean, so that cold edge that Christopher wrote is something that we developed over time, but it really wasn't the essence of the real Ken Titus. He was actually, and I think one of the great testaments to his character was the fact that 4 or 5 of his wives, they all showed up at his funeral.
Wow.
They were all there. I mean, it was,
wow.
So he didn't burn bridges with certain relationships. He just moved on. It's one of my favorite. I think it is my favorite comedic character. And I know that in subsequent years, I did a couple of knockoffs of Ken. I mean, Joe in Man with a Plan was a similar character, but not quite. And Crowded with Patrick Warburton, Bob was a similar character. But they were, I think, compared to Ken, they were pale comparisons, I thought.
And in preparation for the role of Ken, did you find it hard? I mean, you're obviously playing a real person, but at the same time, you're injecting your own personality and your own style. Was it hard, kind of, balancing that line?
No, actually, it was great fun, and we had a wonderful showrunner. Jack Kenny and Brian Hargrove were masters of this medium. I mean, they worked beautifully with Christopher in terms of the writing of the scripts. And we all know in sitcom, the script is the thing. I mean, if it's good on the page, it'll be good on the stage. But if it ain't, it's not. Things don't work as well if the scripts are there. The situations. I mean, that was critical, and Christopher had a lot to do with that as well. But the great thing about Titus, I think, it had three different mediums, really. The neutral space, where he's talking to the camera in black and white, like the narration. The flashbacks, which is time past, and then the time present, all in a half hour. It was a wonderful, wonderful format for a show.
Yeah.
And we were all sick when it was canceled. I mean, it was we were devastated, as a matter of fact. It was probably more, yeah. But here we are. We're 20 years later, and we're repeating ourselves. And I think that's a great tribute to Christopher, because he hung in there. After the show went off the air, I know he struggled for a number of years, and then suddenly he started getting back on the comic circuit, and wrote the script and got it financed, and here we are. I'm real proud of him. He's done a great job.
Now, I know with the cast, you all did such a great job. Did you get along with the cast so well?
Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah. We were a wonderful family. Yeah, we all loved each other. We had a great. We tracked each other's up all the time. Yeah. Great people. And who knows? Maybe we'll go beyond this. I think that just the fact of doing this as a reunion, I think is great in of itself. And if there's, I don't know that there will be anything beyond that. I don't know that Christopher has any designs of that either. But we'll know. Who knows? In this crazy world, what's going on? I mean,
we need all the laughter we can get, and this.
I think so. Yes.
Did you ever think that 20 years later that this show would resonate so well with people?
No, I had no idea, none whatsoever. No.
Wow.
It's a pleasant surprise. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite episode from the show?
Not really. In looking at the best of, which is online, I find it very difficult for me to think of it in terms of one episode as opposed to different bits, different events, different shtick. One of my favorite moments is when I'm in bed with a woman and another woman walks in on me and says, "But Ken," and I look at it, we have to talk. Vinny was more about those kinds of moments. Well, in the original pilot, one of the great moments that kept repeating was when Christopher, as a young boy, is about ready, he's playing with the electrical cord, and he's getting ready to put it in in the wall, and his mother comes in and says, Christopher, don't do that. And he said, no, let him go. That kind of that maniacal, sadistic streak that Christopher wrote in Ken's character. I don't think he was ever like that, but it's funny. It's funny. It was very funny, and the kid who played Christopher as a young kid was fabulous. He's gone now. He's 20 years old now. I can't believe it. He's got to be 25.
Wow.
He was a great kid, that kid. Oh, he had great looks. He was wonderful. There were many things like that contributed to the success of the show. In the fact that we had, Jay Leno did a guest shot. Brian Hargrove.
David Carradine.
David Carradine. That's right. He did. Yeah. And and my mothers in the show were interesting characters. I mean, Christopher was never satisfied with totally with the actress who played his mom, so we had enough different moms that I played against. It was, great thing.
Now, besides yourself, who do you think was the funniest in the show?
That's Christopher himself, of course. But I mean, that's a tough one. Zach Ward. I mean, that dense dumb quality that he plays is just so perfect for that character. He was cracking me up. But so did David Shaftoff. I mean, it's very difficult to say. And Cynthia, I mean, she was not only gorgeous, but she was funny. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say who was better than the other person. Yeah.
And it's such a collaborative effort, and to be on for a few seasons with these people. How important was collaboration and teamwork for you?
That's the key, I think, to success in our business. When you get people together, working together in concert, in unison, working together. Not to say that everybody has to, contributing their own ideas, their own originality, their own spin on how they want to do a line or how they want to do a moment. Everybody giving of themselves to the utmost, and that's what we did, and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we went off the air, our ratings were higher than that 70s show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
I know.
And it makes perfect sense to me. I remember that it aired every Wednesday at 9.
Yes.
And I just had to make sure to watch the show. And I call it The Funny Show. And I even watch that show to this day, and I laugh like it's the first time I see it. And,
that's a great tribute to the show, yeah.
And for what I think a good show like that is so successful. And my next question for you, Mr. Keach, you worked with Christopher on another project. I think it was called Special Unit.
Did I? Special Unit.
It's a TV movie, I think.
I don't recall that. What was that about?
What year was that? What was the?
I think it was about with Titus bringing in. It was a cop with the story bringing in like mystic characters to being a special unit up in the police.
You know something? I have absolutely no memory of that. And I'm not senile yet, but I know that I have no memory of that. That's very.
It's proof that you had worked with these fine people outside of the show, Titus. So
yes.
That's great that you could really keep and maintain those professional relationships.
One of the great thrills of my life was also working with Phyllis Diller.
With who? Sorry,
Phyllis Diller.
Oh, okay, yeah, definitely.
And she played my, his mother. She was fabulous, and she's a great comedian, and it was a wonderful honor to work with her.
And so I'm curious. So you in your earlier days, you did a lot of drama, and I think you kind of gravitated towards comedy to later on to now. How do you approach both genres?
Well, comedy has always been my favorite. I love comedy, and I think that in my early career, Sergeant Stadenko was one of my first forays into that world. But in television, once I had done and established myself as Mike Hammer, it was hard for me to convince anybody that I could be funny until Christopher cast me as Ken Titus. Yeah. I mean, I love doing both. I mean, it's right now in this day and what's going on in our world with no theaters and production in television and movies is slow to get ramped up again. I've been doing a lot of Zoom theater, Zooming different plays just so that we can keep our muscles alive, continue to express ourselves.
That's great. And so you perform so Zoom is basically the stage, and whoever is watching on various social media, that's basically the audience.
That's right.
And you have a very long career in stage. How does it feel to transfer over to it digitally?
Well, it's tremendous challenges. Zooming is not easy because you are your own cameraman, creating your own close-up, your own part, and your own sound man as well.
Right.
And if you haven't memorized the text, you have to scroll the screen, and in scrolling the text, if you're blind like I am, nearsighted, and I can't wear glasses because glasses, when you're zooming, glasses reflect and you don't see the eyes. The light comes off the glasses. So I've had to fill the screen with the script, and I'm scrolling, so I don't get a chance to see the other actors. Now, I've done 4 things now. I started with King Lear back in April because we were celebrating Shakespeare's death day. Okay. And it was a production of King Lear that we did. I played Lear twice, so I kind of was familiar with that text. But then we zoomed Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, and I played Big Daddy, and that was the beginning of some real challenges in terms of how to deal with this new medium, creating virtual backgrounds. And my wife, Malgosia, worked as a designer, artistic director, and helped with that. And then I did Huey, O'Neill's Huey, with Clark Middleton a couple of weeks ago. And just last week did The Unexpected Man with Juliet Mills.
My next question for you, Mr. Keech, you just reprised your role as Ken Titus for the reunion Titus Family Show. How did it feel to reprise that role again and get back into it?
It was great fun. I mean, I had to. I'm sort of self-sequestered here in Ojai, in my home, and a rental house. We rented this house for a few months to get out of Beverly Hills. But when Christopher asked me to play Ken, I realized that I didn't have to, I needed to get a loud Hawaiian shirt and to get some brown hair dye. Make sure, I can get my hair dark again. Because 20 years, everybody looks a little different than they did 20. Except, I got to tell you, Christopher hasn't changed. He looks the same. So does Zach Ward. They both look very much like they did. They haven't changed. But, it was great fun. It was great fun to get back. And Christopher came here and shot all of my scenes in front of a green screen, wearing a mask. But he shot it himself. Brought the camera up here, did it all by himself. God love it. Yeah. It was great fun because he had a good script. It was a good script. Funny. Very funny.
What can we expect from the new Titus? Can you give us a little sneak peek?
Lots of laughs.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's a given.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Great.
What do you hope that the audience can take away from the show after another 20 years from now?
Wow. Well, they can go back and I think they can see the 2 seasons that we shot. I mean, I think it's online, so maybe it will revive everybody's interest in the show to the point where they decide to do a couple more. That wouldn't be bad.
Great. Mr. Keech, are there any other projects you're currently working on that you can talk about?
I'm doing I'm zooming, continuing to do some zooming. My wife and I are leaving we have a house in Poland next week, and I'm a dual citizen, so I can go to Poland. We Americans, as Americans, you can't travel anywhere outside the United States right now. Nobody wants us. No. Well, for good reason, given our statistics. But working on a project called Bluefish with Clark Middleton, who was my co-star in Huey, and whom I met on Blacklist with James Spader in New York a couple of years ago. We became good friends, and he's zooming a very interesting project, and we're going to shoot a movie on Apple on iPhones. And, you know, we're going to use that, using the iPhone as the camera, a good camera, and a lot of people are doing that, making movies on this, which I think is, it's great. I think that's the world. It's a new world. It's a new era. There's no question about it.
It is.
We're finding new ways of expressing ourselves, and hopefully Zoom technology will get, more perfected so that we'll have greater variety, particularly in terms of the use of the video, in terms of backgrounds.
Yeah.
You can have moving backgrounds, and you don't have to necessarily stay right in front of the camera as a talking head. That you can do, much wider shots, and using a lavalier mic, you can, use it like a movie.
Got to be creative with that,
Very creative. Well, I'm Ewan Brenner and Clark Middleton, and I'm great pleasure. I'm working with a wonderful actor, Eugene Blackrock, who was in Wonder Woman. He's a wonderful Indian actor, and we're in the process of developing that material right now. I'm going to play a bad guy who wants to get the pipeline in Canada developed, and going through Indian lands and desecrating their way of life. And I play the corporate greedy guy who wants nothing more than to get that pipeline built, So that's what I'm working on right at the moment. And got some plans to do further zooms on Pirandello, Enrico IV. Laney Robertson wrote a play called Stieglitz Loves O'Keeffe, which I did many years ago with Margot Kidder, God love her. And I'm hoping to do it with Elizabeth Marvel. I've just written to it, and I hope maybe she, it's a two-hander about Alfred Stieglitz and George O'Keeffe.
Okay.
That's a Zoom in the future. Future Zoom. Yeah.
Do fan notice when come down the street, and do they always ask you to say like "wussy" or some famous line from the show?
Yeah. Not recently, but there was a time. Yes, there was a time. Don't be such a wussy. Yeah, that was those were fun days.
Wussy. 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 That was it? Can I see it again? Wussy.
That was the beginning of that word. I don't think that the word was very popular until 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You'll
be known for that forever.
Yes, you will. Yeah.
And Mr. Keach, I just want to take this moment to congratulate you. I know it was last year, but congratulations on the Hollywood star on the Walk of Fame.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a wonderful day. Boy, things have changed since then. Whoa, what a year. What a year. Oh.
Right. But
thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great honor and a great thrill for me.
And hopefully we'll have more art and great performances from you through Zoom. And, hopefully we'll see you on stage again relatively soon.
I hope so, too. So thank you.
Yes. Mr. Keach, I want to thank you so much for your time today. This was great.
Thank you. Well, thank you for the questions. And I'm looking forward to Friday and beyond. And you guys stay safe and healthy.
Thank you. You too, Mr. Keach. And I'm
so
looking forward to a reunion. I think it's going to be great.
Thank you so much. All the best.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Keach.
Thank you.